Greetings, everyone. The purpose of this brief video is really threefold. First, I'd like to talk with you briefly about our work this last week on leadership, culture, and change, continued. Second, I'd like to outline some information about this next week's assignment and some future assignments. And then third, I'd like to encourage you to keep working on your leadership projects and also underscore the importance of getting enrolled in TaskStream. First, with respect to this last week's work on leadership, culture, and change, I really need to tell you I'm impressed with your ideas about the importance of the need for understanding organizational culture, the idea that leaders need to work to change that culture, and about how tough that really is and the courage that it takes to be able to change organizational culture. And then also about the notion of resilience. And I'll talk about that just briefly. As I noted in many of your discussion board threads, think about how leaders, you personally anyway, need to build a sense of personal resilience if you're going to demonstrate that to others in the organizations. Leaders and organizations certainly need to continue to change, and we don't always succeed. We need to be able to work together to bounce back from failures, if you will, and resilience allows us to be able to do that. So I think, however, first of all, if we're going to have resilient organizations, leaders themselves have to be resilient. And so I encourage you to think about what is it that you do to create your personal resilience. How do you bounce back? How do you deal with maybe rejection or failure? And what about you, and what do you do to prepare yourself for those kinds of things? And how do you then set an example for those around you? Please make sure you take a look at my general feedback comments on this last assignment. You can find those in Module 2 feedback link, as well as any comments that I'll make in the Grade Center to you. Let me reinforce one idea that I've kind of put in my general comments this week for you. When we think about the notion of power, authority, and influence, leaders certainly have authority vested in them via specific organizational policies and procedures, or the line authority that they have in the organization. For instance, they may be the boss, so to speak, and or the owner of the organization. This authority certainly gives leaders the authority to, well, some examples of authority might be evaluation of their employees, or the authority to develop a new product line in sales, so to speak, or a new manufacturing project or product. And so there's certainly authority that leaders have inherently given to them in their position. They derive power to do things from that line of authority. In other words, their position and the policies and the procedures in the organization allow them or give them the ability to cause certain things to happen, or the power, so to speak, to evaluate employees, or to develop a new product line, or a new manufacturing line, etc. And others need to acquiesce to that power. This power certainly ensures at least some level of compliance in people who work for or with the leader, so to speak. The idea of influence, though, to me goes a little bit further. And influence is how we really exercise that power. Influence, to me, is all about building relationships with people, or looking at the transformational aspects of leadership that we've been talking about through the theorists we've been studying thus far this semester. The authority or the influence that one builds is based upon the transactions, if you will, between people, and creates a following for the leader and for policies and procedures in an organization that ensure a genuine commitment. To quote Peter Senge, the exercise of power represents, in my estimation anyway, to use Senge's words, the idea of compliance. When we develop influence, however, we develop a sense of commitment. Now think about employees, for instance. When power is used to control or direct or to make someone do something, someone may comply with that power, but they're certainly not committed. And how will they look when the leader, for instance, is not present? How will they look when the leader turns his back on them, so to speak? They may go through the motions and do what's necessary, but that's about all that may happen. However, if we can develop a sense of commitment in people, that sense of commitment allows them and encourages them to behave in ways that are consistent with organizational purposes, goals, and objectives, whether the leader is really present or not. So anyway, take a look at my comments on that relationship and see what you think about the relationships between authority, power, and influence. Second thing I wanted to hit real briefly is this next week we're going to be thinking about international perspectives on leadership. This is the last assignment that we have before our spring break. I'd encourage you in this assignment to think about why leaders need to think globally, and think about how this notion of global leadership and thinking globally relates to the concepts and personal practices of leadership that we've been studying thus far this semester. Please note that this assignment, this last assignment before spring break, really kind of culminates most of the content of this particular course. We're going to start applying after spring break. You're going to be doing some interviewing of people. In fact, our first assignment is for you to identify a leader in a for-profit business somewhere, and you can interview that leader and think about how leaders are really applying the practices and the procedures and the ideas that we've been studying thus far this semester. So we're going to switch focus just a little bit after spring break. Be prepared for that for sure. The third thing that I really wanted to talk with you really briefly about is make sure that you don't forget those hours and don't forget those leadership projects. Again, I kind of talk about this every week, but don't get behind the curve on that one. Make sure you're out there working and completing that leadership project. Think also as you're doing that about how you're applying the skills that you're learning about leadership. And then finally, make sure that you do enroll in TaskStream. I talked about that in last week's video, but I put some directions for you in the Module 2 assignments link in Blackboard. Make sure you get enrolled in TaskStream. That's something that's required in this course. My best hope is the instructions are self-explanatory to you, or at least help you through the process. I'm not going to guarantee that with 100% certainty. Let me know if you have questions or if you run into any difficulties as you try to enroll in TaskStream. Well, that about sums everything up for now. Have a great week, everyone. And again, feel free to ask questions. Contact me at any time about anything related to this course that you may have a question about, or if there's anything I can do to help you. Take care.